Hello friends, I welcome you again to my audio tutorial. In the previous audio tutorial, I told you about the Objective Resolution of 1946 that was enacted in order to specify the objectives and aims of the Constituent Assembly while framing the Constitution of Independent India. Now in today's audio tutorial, I will tell you about the major and minor committees of the Constituent Assembly. Now basically in this tutorial, the information that I am giving you, you have to learn it. Because the information that is being provided by me to you in this audio tutorial is only helpful in some questions. These questions have been seen in all sorts of examinations, that it can be asked to you that the Commission on Linguistic Provinces was a major committee or a minor committee, or it can be asked that Committee on Chief Commissioners Provinces was a major committee or minor committee of the Constituent Assembly. So questions can be drafted according to the pre-syllabus of IAS or according to the objective paper of general studies. So you have to just learn the things, the points that I am telling you here. So two types of committees were formed in the Constituent Assembly. The first one was the major committee. The second one was the minor committee. There were 8 major committees, and I will tell you point by point what those major committees were. The first major committee was the Union Powers Committee, headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. The second major committee was the Union Constitution Committee, headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. The third major committee was Provincial Constitution Committee, headed by Sardar Patel. The fourth major committee was Drafting Committee, headed by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The fifth major committee was Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights and Minorities, headed by Sardar Patel. Now this major committee of Advisory Committee on Fundamental Rights and Minorities, it has 2 small subcommittees below it. These 2 small subcommittees, the first one was the Fundamental Rights Subcommittee, which was headed by J.B. Kriplani, and the second one was the Minorities Subcommittee, that was headed by H.C. Mukherjee. Okay, coming back to our major committees. The 6th major committee was the Rules of Procedure Committee, that was headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. The 7th major committee was the Committee for Negotiating with States, which was also known as the States Committee. It was headed by Jawaharlal Nehru. And the 8th major committee was Steering Committee, that was headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So these were the important 8 major committees of the Constituent Assembly of 1946. And basically if you can learn this, so questions can be asked that who was the chairman of the Rules of Procedure Committee of the Constituent Assembly of 1946? Then your answer would be Dr. Rajendra Prasad. So if you know the head, the chairman of these committees, you can be sure while answering your questions. And this audio tutorial is very important from the perspective of prelims examinations of PCS and IAS. When we come to SSC combined graduate level and other examinations, asking questions from this area makes the question quite difficult. But you can expect questions from this area in IAS pre and PCS pre examinations. So now coming to the minor committees, there were 15 prominent minor committees. I will tell you about them. The first minor committee was the Committee on the Functions of the Constituent Assembly, headed by G.V. Mavalankar, basically. Committee on the Functions of the Constituent Assembly, headed by G.V. Mavalankar. Second minor committee was Order of Business Committee, headed by Dr. K.M. Munshi. The third minor committee was the House Committee, headed by B. Patabhi Sitaramaiah. I repeat, B. Patabhi Sitaramaiah, spelling Patabhi, P-A-T-T-A-B-H-I, and Sitaramaiah, S-I-T-A-R-A-M-A-Y-Y-A. That is B. Patabhi Sitaramaiah. He headed the House Committee. The fourth minor committee was Ad Hoc Committee on the National Flag, headed by Dr. Rajendra Prasad. The fifth minor committee was a special committee to examine the draft constitution, and it was headed by Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer. The sixth minor committee was the Credentials Committee, headed by Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer. Spelling Aladi, A-L-L-A-D-I, Krishnaswamy, KrishnaSwamy, and Iyer, A-Y-Y-A-R. Aladi Krishnaswamy Iyer. It is a very famous name. It very frequently occurs in newspapers and magazines. The seventh minor committee was the Finance and Staff Committee, headed by A.N. Sinha. I repeat, Finance and Staff Committee, headed by A.N. Sinha. The eighth minor committee was Hindi Translation Committee. The ninth minor committee was Urdu Translation Committee. The 10th minor committee was Press Gallery Committee. The 11th minor committee was Committee to Examine the Effect of Indian Independence Act of 1947. The 12th minor committee was Expert Committee on Financial Provisions. The 13th minor committee was Committee on Chief Commissioners Provinces. The 14th minor committee was Commission on Linguistic Provinces. The 15th minor committee was Ad Hoc Committee on the Supreme Court. So with this I have just told you about the major and minor committees of the Constituent Assembly, and in my next lecture I will tell you about the drafting committee of the Constituent Assembly, its composition and its way of functioning, and I will trace the whole process of the enactment and enforcement of the Constitution. So friends, goodbye for now. We will meet in my next audio tutorial. Hello friends, I welcome you again to my audio tutorial. In the previous audio